Good morning. If you could please find your way to a seat and don't be bashful. Feel free to come as close to the front as you can. As incentive, our Vice President of Admin Services told me under one of your seats is taped a large denomination bill. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but you might want to check. And the likelihood of finding one is much greater up front. Thank you.
Well, I think one of the great things is that Americans are seeing that all students are the right students for community colleges. I've always said that they are America's best kept secret, and hopefully now the secret's out.
When you mention and you advocate for community colleges, people come out of the woodwork. The stories are profound.
My community college was 4 classrooms behind the high school. That's how it got started. It was the perfect place for me to go.
They've made me the registered nurse that I am now, and I'm very happy and I'm very grateful for that.
I'm Billy Crystal, class of 1968, Nassau Community College. I got a great education, I settled into myself, and then from there, it was a springboard into what I wanted to do. It's like having a space station. You know, you fly up there, you hang around for a month, and then you can zoom. You can go to Mars, you can go to any place in the universe. That's how I felt about Nassau. To me, it was that important.
I'm on my road to success, really, to reach my ultimate goal. It's incredible how many things I've done, and it's been, a year.
It was the only bridge I could afford, and it was a real bridge to the 4 years and I went from there into the Marine Corps. When I got out of the Marine Corps, had my first newspaper, got my first newspaper job, and I've been doing the same kind of stuff ever since.
It's a great American invention. These open-door institutions are accessible, they're affordable, and most willing to help every individual who wants to, change his or her life.
A lot of blue-collar workers are being retrained right here at community college. And I'm going back to school full-time now, and it's been a great opportunity and an experience as well.
Displaced steel worker. In a year's time, I could be certified, trained to do one of the most exciting jobs that are coming on the field today and put me back to work.
This is the way of the future. Community colleges are answering the needs of communities, and they're providing jobs. And students know that a job will be waiting for them when they finish.
Right, they're actually there to prepare you, to open up doors, and to show to employers that, guess what, this person, I've actually prepared him for you.
Everyone's there focused on you and your success. I thought it would be less of a one-to-one interaction, and here I feel like they're really focused on you, and all students feel that way. We have those small classes that really help the instructors focus on your needs.
Community colleges offer a tremendous education with very good professors at a cost that is affordable to average ordinary citizens in America today.
It changed my life, and today I sit here running this company with great confidence and great pride, but the most important thing is I never forget how I got here.
It just gave me the time to find myself. And then once you find yourself and you know what you want to do, then, hey, nothing can stop you.
I think it's more relevant now than it has ever been. Look, you've got to get educated if you're going to make it in this country, if you're going to make it in this world. A junior college from high school beyond is the perfect place to begin.
Welcome to Convocation. This video came from the American Association of Community Colleges. The diversity of our students and their shared strength is always inspiring. Public higher education is one of the foundations of democracy. The seal of the United States of America reads E pluribus unum. Public colleges provide paths for pluribus to become unum, for our diversity to be united as one. Diversity united is a form of genius. As we know from fields ranging from genetics to financial investment, diversity keeps us adaptable and resilient. I heard a radio report that in the next 15 years, over 50% of American families will be multicultural. But the truth is, the enrichment of diversity already is here. Take the last presidential election. We all know that President Obama's family has members from Africa and Europe, that his sister is Asian Pacific Islander. But we forget that all of the candidates had multicultural families. John McCain has a South Asian daughter. Sarah Palin's husband is Alaskan Native. Their son has a disability. Joe Biden, whose wife we saw, is a community college teacher, has a military family, as do the Palins and McCains. Going back, George Bush's family includes Latino members, and Dick Cheney's daughter is proudly LGBT. Because my political views differ from some of these leaders, I may think we have nothing to teach or learn from each other. But if I think more broadly, I realize I share with them family members from every group just mentioned. Surely there's room for connection. Please take a moment to think of your own extended families. Remember, your extended family includes not only your immediate family, but also people like grandparents, your partner's stepfather, your nephew's kids, your cousin's wife. Think to yourself, does your extended family include veterans or military service members? Speakers of more than one language, people who have lived outside America, members of different ethnicity or race? Does your family include LGBT, lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgendered members, people with different religions, with disabilities, under 18 or over 65? Diversity is a part of us, familiar and essential. Maybe this is why our work is so rewarding. Community colleges are inclusive. We provide access to learning and growth. Student success is our goal every day, and this year it is the focus for our convocation. On stage, please give special welcome to our keynote speaker, University of Washington President Michael Young, Seattle Community College Chancellor Jill Wakefield, the members of our Board of Trustees, Tom Malone, Board Chair Constance W. Rice, Albert Shen, Jorge Carrasco, the fifth member of the board, Trustee Gayatri Essie, is unable to be with us today. Members of our district leadership team are seated in the front row. Please stand when I call your name. Audience, please hold your applause until everyone has been introduced. Our presidents, Paul Kilpatrick at Central, Gary Ortley at South, Mark Mitsui here at North. We also have Karen Weiss, Vice Chancellor, Charles Sims, Human Resource Officer, and Al Griswold, Dean at SVI. Alan Ward, Chief Financial Officer, is unable to be with us today. We'll now hear from North President Mark Mitsui. Over a year ago, when searching for a president, North wanted someone who, by example, would inspire us to be our best selves, open and authentic, engaged with people and possibilities, informed by self-examination and scholarship. With President Mark Mitsui, North has found that leader. Also serving as District Vice Chancellor for Student Success, Mark helps us to transform the lives of our students. Please welcome President Mitsui.
Thank you, Lydia, for your kind introduction. As Lydia mentioned, our mission here at North Seattle Community College is to change lives through education. And last year, we spent a fair amount of time defining for ourselves what that really meant. Our answer? It means advancing student success, it means building community, and it means excelling in teaching and learning. These core themes are manifested in many ways, such as being one of the top senders of transfer students to the University of Washington, or having 2 President Medal Award winners at the UW, as well as Seattle University. Or our mission can be realized in our new building called the Opportunity Center for Employment and Education, where Department of Social and Health Services, Employment Security, and our own workforce department are co-located in order to provide integrated services and a seamless pathway for our underemployed and unemployed members of our community toward opportunity. Nobody really personifies, I think, our mission quite like a person that I'm going to call JT. JT came to the center a few months ago, homeless for 22 years, living under freeways and on the streets. He got help finding food assistance, tuition assistance, and housing assistance. Today, he's got a roof over his head, he's got food on the table, and he's got books in his backpack. On Monday, he will begin his 3rd quarter as a student here at North Seattle Community College. Defining what changing lives through education really means might take time, but we sure know it when we see it. And changing lives through education is also a deeply held value of our Chancellor, and so now it's my great pleasure to introduce the Chancellor of the Seattle Community Colleges, Jill Wakefield, to you. At South, where I was Vice President for Student Services, she was our greatest champion for student success, perhaps because she's a community college graduate herself and has experienced the system from the inside out. She's been on the front lines in almost every capacity in higher education, including as a faculty member at WSU and Seattle University. And like many of us in Seattle, Dr. Wakefield earned one of her degrees at the University of Washington. As Chancellor, she carries the Seattle Community College presence and story into boardrooms and to news media across the region at a time when our work as educators is more important than ever. Please join me in welcoming our Chancellor, Dr. Jill Wakefield.
Thank you, President Mark Mitsui, and especially to North for hosting us today. We know what a busy time it is, and that you look, I have to say, North looks just great. Well, I'd like to invite everyone to join me in thanking Dr. Lydia Minatoya, who is our MC this morning. Dr. Minatoya is a member of North's counseling faculty, and she's also an internationally known writer. Her memoir, Talking to High Monks in the Snow, received the American Pan Gerard Award and the American Library Association Award. Her first novel, The Strangeness of Beauty, has been published in multiple languages and countries and was nominated for the prestigious Dublin International Impact Award. Well, Lydia has been invited to speak about writing and cultural identity both nationally and fortunately as our students in our classrooms across the district. So faculty, that's just a tip as you're putting together your syllabi this year. Well, now it's my great pleasure to introduce and to welcome the new president of the University of Washington, Michael Young. We're glad you're getting to know us, President Young, because your best students will be coming from the Seattle community colleges. As you'll hear again and again, and I'm sure many more times, we send more students to the University of Washington than any other community college district. And also, the University of Washington has educated a tremendous number of Seattle community colleges, faculty, and staff. Just raise your hand. How many of you in the audience are Huskies? Okay. See, there they are. And I just have to do this. Okay, Cougars, how many are Cougars? We have to have the time. Okay, that's right. Equal time. And just one thing you can thank President Young for is our 934 prefix, which we all have now, remember that, which came to us from the University of Washington. So we welcome President Young as partners of the two flagship college systems in our state. He is a leader, an educator, an attorney who came to Seattle from his post as college president at the University of Utah. He's also served with the Department of State on national commissions as a professor of law and as law clerk to Justice William Rehnquist of the U.S. Supreme Court. Now, there's a Wakefield connection, wouldn't you know? He's involved with the Wakefield family in that he and Doug went to elementary, middle, and high school together, and Doug's not talking about what happened. So he's already making his mark in our region since arriving in Seattle this summer. We look to Dr. Young for his leadership in higher education, not only locally, but nationally. He is the voice for higher education, including community colleges. So please join me in welcoming Michael Young to Seattle and to the Seattle Community Colleges.
Chancellor Wakefield, thank you for that introduction. And thank you for that music. I don't think I've ever been welcomed quite as nicely. Yeah. We have our convocation on Sunday. Are you busy? I am delighted to be here today with you and just honored. President Mitsui, thank you so much for including me in your ceremonies today. And I want to take this as an opportunity to congratulate everybody who is engaged in this great enterprise. I am indeed an extraordinary fan of community colleges. I think my time in Utah gave me an opportunity to become what our community college president in Salt Lake described as her greatest ally, because the centrality and importance of community colleges and that pathway to changing lives is extraordinarily important. But I want to talk about something a little more than that today, because I think we focus a lot on changing lives. What I want to talk about a little bit today is changing the world. The great benefit of education is that it does indeed gives you a chance to realize your full potential, a chance to engage in important roles in your community, a life made not only more successful but richer by all the things you've learned, the interest you've gained, the things that you're able to do, to understand, and the world you're able to live in. But I'm also very much a believer that with the opportunity of a great education comes a great responsibility. And I want to talk just a little bit about that today. Chancellor Wakefield mentioned that I've had some opportunity over the years to work on some international related activities. And as we start school, sometimes we don't think about the world. Our world narrows a little bit to classrooms. It narrows a little bit to our commute back and forth. It narrows to our job. It narrows to our books in the library. But I think it's important as we embark on these great ventures to keep in mind that it is, in its most profound way, supposed to expand our world as well. And we live in an interesting world. A world that if we watch TV, sometimes we think is terrible. We look at devastating famines in Somalia. We look at long-standing tensions in North Korea, conflicts in the Middle East, economic dislocations everywhere in Europe, in Asia, and indeed in the United States. We look at Afghanistan, Iraq, pirate raids along the African coastline, and the list goes on and on and on. And we think of the world as a bleak and troubled and difficult place. And I don't mean to diminish the difficulties and challenges of those problems, but I want to give you a slightly different perspective today. I want to give you some statistics. I'm a professor, so I get to teach just a little bit. They haven't invited me to teach a class, so I'm going to teach one anyway, if that's all right. What's interesting is if you actually look at the world from a more holistic perspective, in fact, since 1990, the last 20 years, the number of armed conflicts in the world has dropped in half. It's dropped by over 40%. Not only that, but the number of deadliest conflicts, that is to say, conflicts where people over 20 or 30,000 were killed, has dropped by 80%. In 1950, the average conflict killed about 60,000 people. Now it's about 600. The number of genocides between 1988 and 2010 dropped by 80%. For all the difficulties of the refugees who are out there, the actual number of refugees has dropped almost in half over the last 2 decades. And even fewer arms are being purchased. The dollar value of arms sold around the world has dropped by over 30%. Poverty, as difficult and challenging as it is for those in poverty, the number in poverty has dropped precipitously around the world. The number of people living in democratic regimes has skyrocketed. At the end of World War II, you would have counted by any fair estimation about 20 countries that you would have been able to describe as having fairly robust democratic systems where people actually got to participate in the form of government that governed them. Now that number is closer to 80 countries. The availability of education has increased. The net enrollment in primary education in developing countries around the world has increased by almost 10 full percentage points. Health strides are extraordinary as well. The child survival rate has improved remarkably in a number of different countries, in Latin America, the Caribbean, Southeastern and Eastern Asia, North Africa, where the child mortality rate for the last 2 decades has declined 3% every single year. Even in the environment, an area where there are many very well-founded concerns, there's still good news. As a result of international cooperation, we've reduced by 10-fold the amount of ozone that's in our atmosphere. And the list goes on and on. Now, my point today is I don't want to diminish the impact of the problems we indeed do see. But I want to emphasize those statistics I just mentioned, because what they reflect is that the world is actually a better place than it was 20 years ago. And what's important about that is twofold, I think. One is it shows that human action, commitment, dedication can actually change the world. It can't just change our individual lives, but it can change the world. Equally importantly, I think, these very developments give us a chance to address other pressing problems around the world. And those problems are pressing. Income disparities, particularly in Africa and other parts of the world, are increasing significantly. Child mortality, while it's down in many parts of the world, is actually rising in sub-Saharan Africa. Education, while dramatically growing in major parts of the world, in other parts of the world is actually decreasing, particularly among the opportunities for women to be educated. This gives us opportunities. The world is a place now where we can engage even more deeply to address what problems remain. And I think that precisely because of the advances that have been made over the last 2 decades, it gives us an opportunity to do things that in the course of human history have not been possible before. There are challenges, dramatic challenges, but opportunities, I think, to address those challenges. And here's my central point. I think to do that requires vision, creativity, innovation, and the intellectual tools that the students here at this great community college are going to develop. It takes educated citizens with vision, passion, commitment, and compassion. And that's today the challenge that I think faces all of us. The opportunity to have a great education really does come with the responsibility. A responsibility not to look inward, but to use it as an opportunity to look even more outward. To look and say, what can I do, not just for myself, not just for my immediate family, and not even just for my community, but what can I do to change the world? We at the University of Washington are very committed to working closely with this great college on that journey and that path. The Seattle Community College District does indeed send more students to the University of Washington than any other college district, and they have established an extremely strong record of academic excellence and achievement at the university. Each year, we award a medal to a graduating senior who transferred to the UW from a Washington community college in acknowledgement of that student's top academic record. 4 out of the past 5 years, that students come from Seattle community colleges. And that includes our great speaker today, Laura Hinton, who is one of those students who does that. So we are trying to work as closely and intimately as we can to ensure that those who are inclined to continue their education after the great foundation that they develop here have a seamless transition. We're working to help recruit faculty here as well in support of this college's strategic initiative to expand the number of full and part-time faculty that really reflect the broad diversity of the students and the community in which we live. North has initiated a pilot project to recruit and support diverse faculty, and we are working with them in that regard. North Seattle Community College now has a memorandum of understanding with our UW Bothell campus to create a seamless Bachelor of Science in Nursing degree program. I have a list of about 10 other initiatives that are on the drawing board right now. We're working particularly with respect to specialty degrees. Your Vice Chancellor has been meeting with our officials to explore different degrees designed particularly in the STEM area, in the science, technology, math, and engineering areas. We have the Montlake Bridge Project, which originated really out of the student leadership here at Seattle Central Community College, which connects students from Central who want to transfer to UW with students who have already made that transition in order to understand all the ins and outs of how to do that effectively. So as we face a different world, as we face an opportunity to change the world and direct the world, we at the University of Washington are deeply committed to working with everyone here to give opportunities, to ensure that the people have a chance to realize their full potential. And I'll conclude with just one last thought that always weighs on my mind. We are in some ways ceding to the rising generation a world better than the one that my generation inherited, but one that still faces an enormous amount of responsibility and opportunity for change, for positive change. And it is critical and important that we all rise to take that challenge. And I'm reminded, we're all in the West, so I can tell a Western story, I suppose. We don't really have these very much anymore, although if you take certain elements of public transportation around the country, you think we still do, and these are stagecoaches. In the West, when you rode a stagecoach, you could get a first, second, or third class ticket. And there was a difference in the tickets, the cost different. First class ticket had a particular characteristic to it, which is if you were riding with a first class ticket and the stagecoach broke down, you got to stay inside the stagecoach while they lifted the stagecoach up, replaced the wheel, and did whatever repair needed to be done. If you got a second class ticket, you had to get out of the stagecoach while they repaired it. You didn't have to do anything, but you did have to get out of the stagecoach. If you had a third-class ticket, you actually had to help with the repairs. You had to get out, you had to help lift it, you had to put the wheel on, repair the wheel as part of a third-class ticket. And I always think of education that way. I think that we all have a first-class ticket because we have a first-class educational opportunity. But we all have third-class tickets. We all have to get out of the stagecoach and help. The great opportunity that comes with having a first-class education is that we, in essence, all have third-class tickets. We get to get out, and we get to help. And that's the opportunity we have. There's a wonderful book called The Geography of Bliss, whose author is a former NPR correspondent, Eric Boyner, and he says this, which I think is really interesting. It really startled me when I read it. It made me realize how really lucky we are to be here and have the opportunities, he said. He said, over the centuries, our world has witnessed a handful of golden ages, places and times of immense creativity and human flourishing. 5th century Athens, Elizabethan London, Renaissance Florence, and wait, late 20th century Seattle. Now, just to be mentioned in the same sentence as those 3 great periods of enlightenment in the past 2 millennium is really humbling and wonderful. But it also gives us an extraordinary sense of the capacity that resides in this great community. By no means is it licensed to feel complacent, but it is an opportunity that's not certain we'll realize. Weiner hearkens to a great British historian, Peter Hall, who adds the following. He says, golden ages never last long. They're fleeting, frank-in places. History shows that golden urban ages are rare and special windows of light that briefly illuminate the world both within them and outside them, and then again are shuttered. Education is the key to illumination and to ensuring that that window doesn't shut. Education needs to be taken seriously. It affords a great, great opportunity, but with that opportunity comes a great responsibility. And to take advantage of that responsibility is really our responsibility. We at the University of Washington are committed to working closely with all of you to ensure that that age of enlightenment, that light remains open and gives us an opportunity to do both here in this community and around the world the things that need to be done, the things that can be done, the things that can create the kind of world that we all want to leave to our children and to our grandchildren. Thank you.
Go Huskies. Okay. Well, thank you, President Young, and I think I want to be committed to let you know that working together, we're changing the future of Seattle and the world. Now, we know you have a busy schedule today and this week, but before you leave us this morning, we want to present you with a reminder of our partnership. So could you step forward, please? Keep smiling. Now, as we heard earlier, your education credentials are platinum level. Yet, I noticed that something was missing from your resume, and I think we can help. So, as a pledge of our future partnership, and with the power invested in me as Chancellor, I am pleased to present you with an honorary associate degree from the Seattle Community Colleges. Now, stay up here. Best of all, this degree is transferable to the University of Washington. And like our students, you will do as well or better at the university than those who started there. Congratulations.
Thank you, President Young and Chancellor Wakefield. This morning, we have the opportunity to recognize, as President Young mention, a distinguished graduate from both North Seattle Community College and the University of Washington. Laura Hinton was Dean and President's Medalist at University of Washington. Presently, she's working on a graduate degree at Seattle University. She's known for both her scholarship and community service. Please welcome alumna Laura Hinton.
Thank you, Lydia. What a pleasure it has been to hear about how President Young is planning to foster students' transition from the Seattle Community Colleges to the University of Washington. Additionally, it is an honor to be here, as there are many individuals within the Seattle Community College system who have helped me achieve my personal and professional goals. Before I go into more depth on that topic, I'd like to give you an idea of who I am so you have some context for my message. Currently, I work at an inpatient psychiatric hospital as a registered nurse. I'm also pursuing a Master's of Science in Nursing at Seattle University. My particular focus is in mental health, with an emphasis on addiction. This degree will prepare me to work as a psychiatric nurse practitioner, a position that will enable me to manage the psychiatric care of individuals struggling with mental illnesses and addiction. Now let's rewind 8 years when I began courses here at North Seattle. I had little faith in my ability to succeed and no concrete plans for pursuing a bachelor's or master's degree. Though I had always been a good student as a child and teenager, I entered adulthood with little to no family support and very few life management skills. Lacking these crucial elements, I made poor choices, which led to poor outcomes, one of which included the assessment of myself and my mind as somehow broken. I started out at North Seattle Community Colleges with math courses because math had always been my strongest subject. It was a safe bet for me. I worked my way back through calculus with A's, and that small success gave me the courage to pursue an AA degree. Navigating re-entry to college as a full-time student would not have been possible had it not been for the wonderful people in the financial aid department. They spent countless hours explaining my options, helping me with paperwork, and encouraging me to apply for scholarships. They were even available to me after leaving when I needed help determining which loans would leave me the least poor. Likewise, managing a full academic load and working part-time on campus would not have been possible without the endless and unexpectedly eager support and encouragement I received from my instructors and work-study employers. In the classroom, I learned invaluable critical thinking, seminaring, argument deconstruction, paraphrasing, writing, and research skills that not only prepared me for university, but set me apart from my peers. I learned to confidently question the status quo and was encouraged to discover how my path had been both positively and negatively influenced by systematic inequalities. The faculty at North Seattle Community College taught me to view theories and principles from the social and life sciences through the lens of my personal experiences, and vice versa. My tendency towards self-reflection and making the personal political is a value, maybe even a skill, that I learned to embrace at North. It has served me well in my academic and professional pursuit of social justice at the University of Washington, Seattle University, and my current place of employment. The genesis of my personal, professional, and intellectual growth as an adult can without a doubt be located here, amongst the classrooms, hallways, offices, study rooms, Women's Center, and library at North Seattle Community College. Duly, I can sincerely and proudly attribute my successes in life to the unwavering stewardship I found among faculty and staff here at North. I would like to recognize a few of these individuals, and if you feel so inclined and are here, please stand. Bridget Doran from Financial Aid. Casey Chow and Sharon Symes and all the other wonderful librarians and library staff I worked with while here. Melanie Wilson and the Women's Center staff, and of course, all my instructors, but particularly Lauren Yasuda, Mobakel Sargisi, Han Lee, Jerry Levy, Brian Holt, Jackie Hong, Melissa Grinley, Carol Hamilton, Pete Lords, Karen Stuhldreyer, and Marilyn Smith. These names represent the faces of encouragement and support that I see when I reflect on the inception of my academic career. I hope that my journey serves as evidence to you all that community colleges are incubators of social change, and that by promoting student success at the community college level, each individual faculty and staff member embodies a special role as a steward of social justice. Thank you.
Well, we really want students to feel welcome at our college. We really want students to be successful because we know the huge difference that a college education can make in the life of a student.
Well, it's easy for us because they'll be drinking more wine and tasting more wine, but also we've added new classes, so we're having classes that are more focused on what we think students need to know to get better jobs and to perform better in the workforce.
And one thing that I'm particularly proud of is our student retention strategies. We have the ability to individually assess each student and create or customize a learning agreement that is specific to their individual needs.
I'm going to help students be successful this year by being accountable as an administrator and ensuring a successful learning environment.
I'll be spending more time in the Math Science Learning Center, answering lots of math questions, and I've lined up a great group of tutors.
And what I would tell a student to become successful is no matter where they've been in their lives, don't let the past determine the future, that they can change the road they're on and achieve success.
Yes, well, in student services, we've been trying to improve students' experience in advising, and we're trying to help them better prepare for their first advising appointments with a new pre-advising website.
I'm passionate about student success, and I've been collaborating with the 3 colleges on Compass Test Prep to ensure that all students test their best and are ready to be successful in college.
I work specifically with the veteran students, so what I'll be doing to help students succeed is creating a very welcoming environment for our veteran students to come back to.
This coming year, I will be doing a little bit of my own teaching, and that'll help me get in contact with what the student experience is, as well as what the faculty members' experience is.
We're going to place a particular focus this year on a more permanent life skills and success strategies that's going to help our students both personally and professionally.
Well, a big part of my job is just patrolling the campus, and I talk to students all day, every day. So I like to think that I provide a sympathetic ear and words of encouragement wherever I can. So that's kind of a big part of my job, and I love it.
Being their cheerleader, doing the rah-rah, yes, you can do it, you can make it, yes, you can.
At the Seattle Central Foundation, we're going to give away more than $300,000 in scholarships. We have scholarships available to every student in every program, and I sincerely hope that every single student applies to us this year.
I am excited at the opportunity of helping students engage through leadership opportunities this year.
Well, I'm the math coordinator, and I'm also a math and engineering instructor, so I will help students with any math and engineering questions they have, classes. All they need to do is just come talk to me, and if I can't answer it, I'll tell them the other resources we have here at South to help them.
I want to help students succeed in the upcoming year in realizing their career dreams and by assisting them with worker retraining funding.
I think our college is set up for so many student services, so we just have to inform all the students what we have. And at the same time, we should keep asking them, what can we do better? What kind of services that we need to provide, a different one. In that way, we can help them.
I'll help students tap into the power of believing in themselves, that anything they want to do, they can do.
Sometimes I think the best approaches are our simplest approaches. Those approaches help students succeed, thrive, and achieve during their years here. And those approaches are simply acknowledging one another, tending to one another, and caring about one another. I intend to be more intentional about how I do that this year.
I can't think of a better introduction than hearing your personal plans to help our students succeed this year. Thank you for everyone who participated, and for those who were taped but didn't see themselves, when you least expect it, you'll probably be seeing yourself. So, Laura, can I have a picture from my office to remind me why I'm doing what I'm doing? And I also, thinking, did I hear psychiatric nursing or something? Could I also have your name? It is possible that I might be using your services later also, so hopefully we'll see. So, well, good morning and welcome to our 41st Convocation. Since opening our doors, if you ever wonder, get up in the morning and wonder, what am I doing here today? Think about this. Since opening our doors, the Seattle Community Colleges have served 1.5 million students. We've awarded diplomas to 375,000 graduates. We've transferred 100,000 students to four-year universities and helped 500,000 students get or keep a job. The total economic impact for our colleges is $1.1 billion a year. You are game changers for our students and our community. Thank you. I'll be glad to give you those numbers when you're out in the community. It's a great time to get together, to catch up, welcome each other, and get re-energized for our new year. And it's also our tradition to welcome new employees to the Seattle Community College family. So would everyone who's joined our colleges, that includes SVI and the district office, since last convocation, please stand up so that we can recognize you and welcome you. Okay, please stay standing. This is pretty easy. Will everyone whose work phone number now begins with a 934 prefix, please stand. Oh, good. Oh, good. Oh, good. And continue standing if your new email address is first name, period, last name @seattlecolleges.edu. It's not a trick question, just a reminder. Thank you. This summer, as some of you know, I visited Jackson Hole and Peru. Now, I don't know why I chose destinations over 8,000 feet, but while I was at Machu Picchu, I had an aha moment. Well, I started to view the challenges and opportunities that our colleges face a little bit differently. Now, some of you cynics may suggest it was a combination of lack of oxygen and coca tea, but I don't think so. I'm now down at sea level and drinking green tea, and I'm still thinking the same. So I'm going to follow another tradition of mine as featured my whitewater rafting experiences. Since wherever I went this summer, it was a primary activity. Saw lots of happy people, huge rapids, screaming, some type of paddling, and usually a rescue of someone who falls out. My approach on whitewater rafting is to get in the bottom of the boat, try to hide. If they give you a paddle, make sure you're going away from the rapids, unlike everyone else. Close my eyes and survive, and I've missed the point of the ride. So I started reviewing my convocation speeches. We had a little idea, and every year the message seems to be, it's a tough budget situation. We'll get through it. Hold on, hold on. Eventually, we'll get back to normal. And then it hit me. You know that thing about the journey, not the destination? This goal of holding our breath until the normal budget returns isn't going to work anymore. Normal's gone. The new normal is that we're on this whitewater raft for a long time. So we need to figure out how to navigate the rocks and the trees, and when we need to hit those Class 5 rapids, we need to take control, to be paddling fast and hard and together. to make sure colleges are moving in the direction we need to be going instead of being driven down the river and, you know, how it usually happens over the waterfall. So as we navigate those waters, I really believe that the best days of this district are ahead of us. And I want to tell you why. But first, it's about taking control of the challenges that face us. We have to. We have 53,000 students who depend on us for a better future. We have a city of 500,000 people that's depending on us to rebuild our economy and create jobs, and 55,000 businesses in our city that look to us for skilled workers. We continue to be the best and maybe the only route to the middle class. But I do want to talk about 3 Class 5 rapids that we're approaching and how I think we need to paddle through them and why I'm optimistic about our future. The first one, the state budget cuts. We're going to do everything we can not to let the budget situation close our doors and diminish the quality of education at our colleges. So the state allocation has been reduced about 30% since 2008. We received $73 million. This year it will be $57 million. You know, back then, the state support that we received about 65% of our money came from the state. Now it's 51%. We used to be state supported, now we're state assisted, and we hope we're still on the radar of state funding. So what happened was we put the tuition, increased our tuition of our students, 30%, $800 since 2008. We're putting more and more of the costs of the backs of our students, and it's the wrong way to go at this. So we'll reconvene our district-wide budget committee again, and we'll continue with the great recommendations they've made in the past that have led us to be the most efficient community college system in the state. Look for more collaboration in computer services, student services, and instructional programs. We'll continue to incorporate technology into our processes and classrooms, and we'll work hard to let our legislators know that they have to keep cuts to a minimum, and they have to consider new revenue sources so that we can meet the needs of our students and our community. So this is where I think it's the legal part. I hope you'll call your legislator and just let them know about students like our speaker today, about your students, their stories, their hopes, their dreams. Let them know the impact of the cuts as you see them. They tell us, the legislators tell us, we don't hear from community colleges. Change it. So we also have got to develop a new funding model. Now, I'm not seeing signs that the budgets are going to be restored for a number of years, so instead of going into a holding pattern, let's start looking at new models for generating financing for our colleges, creating new opportunities to be entrepreneuristic and leverage funds, looking at local funding. Could we have levies for community colleges? I think in this community they might support it. How about partnerships with business and government where they bring funds because they want a better trained workforce? New uses of state funds. How do we use our international and other funds? How do we look for grants that directly relate to our mission? You know, even at the district office, we're looking for a way to create a revenue source. And it's not to charge you for your checks. No, it's how can we become a revenue source for our district? Well, the second rapid we're looking at is completion rates. About 25%, 1 in 4, who finish their program at our colleges. That's the average. We're a little bit better than average across the country. We know the single best way out of poverty is a post-secondary credential. So there's something that's kind of exciting. Census Bureau just released a study looking at the effect of education, race, age, other factors that impact earnings. The results are striking. Of all factors affecting a person's lifelong earnings, nothing matters more than getting the next certificate or degree. Adults with an AA degree earn 30% more than a high school diploma. Those with 1 year of training, industry-recognized certificates, earn family wage, and those who get to the BA degree earn 67% more than the AA degree. So you can be a woman, an inexperienced or older worker, a person of color, limited English speaking, and although all those factors could reduce your earning potential, together they don't equal the increase in earnings that a person receives if that person receives a certificate or degree and goes to work. Completion matters. So the Gates Foundation, and one of my sad, what I thought failures last year was we did a wonderful proposal to the Gates Foundation. Thank you all who participated in our completion by design proposal. And how this kind of says you should hang on for the long haul, although it wasn't funded, they came back to us because they liked our proposal and they have asked us to apply for a grant, and they want us to do it our way, but to focus on increasing the numbers of students who complete our programs. We chose to focus on aligning with high schools and on that entry onboarding process and early experience, because research shows that makes a difference. So we're taking a step back, looking at everything a student experiences when they first hear about us in high school to when they step foot on our campuses and navigate their way to graduation. We know things. We know we're confusing. So you'll hear a lot about mandatory. You've already heard it, because we know students don't do optional. And I laughed and I said, I don't do optional. Do you do optional? No, I do what I have to do. So looking at things continuing, and some of you have started already, mandatory orientations, intensive advising, more prescriptive and personalized student plans, so students visualize their journey to completion. We'll better use technology. The grant will allow us to give advising dashboards so you can kind of monitor the progress of the students. Technology that notifies students when they've reached the milestone, a certificate or degree, and reminds them to apply. The third, rapid, underprepared students. This year, 6,000 new students will be coming through our doors into your classrooms. 72%, about 3/4 of them will need a developmental course. And we know that about 1/3 who start in developmental make it through. So we're starting, about 600 students will be coming to us right from Seattle Public Schools. That's we've worked with them before. Now for those who test into the lowest level math, that's Math 081, 11% will complete their program. That means 9 out of 10 who start in the lowest level math never make it through to completion. Those who are college ready, that come to us from high schools, it's 51%. So it's 5 times more likely to complete. So we're starting, maybe not with us, but with the Seattle Public Schools. Let's make sure every student who graduates is ready for college, and they agree with that. So the Family Levy will provide funding for every high school student to take the Compass their sophomore year. There will also be advisors in the high schools that tell people what they should expect. No student should come to our campus surprised that they have to take a Compass or that they need a certain level of preparedness to be college ready. Now, underprepared students who start developmental, we know that, like I said, 70% sort of give up before they make it. So together, we must have 5 or 10, 20 different pilots in our district, because you care to look at how do we accelerate, how do we combine courses, how do we innovate, use technology. We know time is our enemy. The longer developmental, the less likely to complete. So we've got wonderful initiatives. We're going to build on those initiatives. So another paddle that we have to use is partnerships. These aren't the partnerships of the 20th century. They were something like, I like you, you like me, let's sign something and work together. These are partnerships with benefits, in which organizations come together with resources, money to take on the big challenges that we can't do ourselves. A great example is Pathways to Careers. It's an initiative with the City of Seattle where the city is going to provide $600,000 and try to raise double that to create 4 pathways in our technical programs to get low-income and underemployed residents in family wage jobs. The city realizes they will be more successful if they invest in us. So their funding may include, and these I think are healthcare and business and logistics and transportation, these may include funding for navigators, for instance, who would work with the faculty and staff to assist with recruitment, case management, internships, and placement. We can't afford to put those positions, but if they provide the funding, together we can meet the students' needs. By the way, the mayor plans to announce his new budget on Monday at Seattle Central Community College because he wants to emphasize the importance of our college to good jobs. That's a good partnership. The new partnerships like here at North Seattle, the Opportunity Center for Employment and Education, that may be the first time I said it right, DSHS, Employment Security, North Seattle, Goodwill, others, are focusing on the needs of the students first and putting their own organizations second. So Wendy Peterson is Wendy here? Wendy Peterson is called Integration Manager. I think that's the job of the future. Congratulations. Everyone has brought their resources to the center, their money, so that they can focus on what those students need. Now at Seattle Central, recognizing that the light rail will bring 250,000, something like that, people to its campus every week, every month, looking, what does that mean for our college? This is innovative public partnerships. For instance, they might build a building, put retail on the first floor to help fund the programs. And its Georgetown campus South is constructing a building for green training. Primarily, it's funded by the Federal Economic Development Administration, but the green training programs are funded by private, state, and federal sources. These are just a few of the examples that I think will be the new normal. And the BAS degrees. The research is showing that community college BAS degrees, not only are those students getting better jobs, they have a higher employment rate, better jobs, better salaries than the university graduates. I'm sorry that our president isn't here to hear that, but that might be it, maybe not. That might be a reason. But think about it. It's a way that we can provide a real need. So I'm optimistic about our future for a number of reasons. One is the leadership. One is you. Because I know each of you cares what goes on in the classroom, in student services, administrative services. You're here because you love our students. Everyone I talk to. You may be frustrated sometimes, but I know that you love our students and you're committed to them. The second is the presidents and our leadership teams. They've been on the job for a little over a year. They've exhibited vision, courage, trust. They're moving your colleges in the right way. And I'd just like to thank my team, our presidents and the leadership team for the great jobs you guys are doing. Second is, we're in Seattle. This city cares about education and realizes the importance of a trained workforce. We're a leader in globalism, innovation, global health. The new thing is that metropolitan areas are now becoming the engines of national prosperity. They're shaping the economy, preparing talent, and taking lead in environmental issues. Seattle is developing a metropolitan business plan to grow jobs and reshape the economy for the long haul through networks of corporate, political, civic, and community leaders. We're part of that network. They care about it. So what I kind of laughed is the new collaboration is the new competition, meaning collaboration has replaced competition as a new strategy for success in the years ahead. I think that fits with us. So next week, as you jump on your rafts, make sure everyone has a paddle. Make sure you give everyone instructions on how to use those paddles and that they paddle hard. When someone falls out, get them back in. Guide them through, don't avoid in your classes and programs, don't avoid the hard rapids, but teach them to guide through those rapids and paddle hard to get where they're trying to go. And when they reach the end, celebrate. And don't forget to wear a life preserver. So anyway, look forward to a great year working with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jill. You know, I'm always struck in your leadership how you care deeply, think broadly, and still approach heavy problems with a light heart. I think it helps us stay creative and connected. Speaking of creative, thank you to our wonderful musicians this morning. The Seattle Community Colleges Quartet are gathered under the direction of Brian Kurt. Brian teaches and plays at Seattle Central and plays locally with the other members of the group. Butch Harrison, Wadey Urban, and Lonnie Williams. You're all just treasures by our district. Thank you. You know, and you're not only good, but you're you're mischievous, you know? You played Girl from Ipanema when the Chancellor came up. So thank you. An important part of Convocation is honoring our colleagues and recognizing some of the outstanding contributions across the district. Today, we recognize the program called Start Next Quarter. The Seattle Community Colleges are among 19 charter members of the League for Innovation in the Community College. Yearly, the League honors one program from each charter college, and in 2011, recognized our high-tech and high-touch program, Start Next Quarter. Developed by a district-wide workforce education team and launched last fall, Start Next Quarter supports the enrollment and success of dislocated workers in professional technical programs. With Start Next Quarter, potential students take a survey available on our college websites where they can assess the many funding opportunities available. When they complete the survey, they're invited to the campuses for planning workshops. This personal touch is very important. On campus, they learn about programs and resources. They prepare for placement tests, and they follow through on their funding options. Based on experience, students who complete the workshops are more likely to enter and complete a training program and move toward a new job. Congratulations to the Start Next Quarter Planning and Implementation team here today. Guys, kind of gather up here so I can hand you your... Thank you very much. Now we have the pleasure of congratulating the winners of the 2011 Trustees Lifelong Learning Awards. These are really an important part of our college culture. Established by the Board of Trustees 20 years ago, these awards honor the ongoing contributions of district employees and support their continuing professional growth. Honorees receive $1,500 to support professional activities, such as attending meetings, conferences, and taking college coursework. Trustees will present the awards. Please welcome the Chair of our Board of Trustees, Constance W. Rice.
Thank you, Lydia. We're collectively so proud to be part of the Seattle Community College District family as a Board of Trustees, and we're super proud of our Chancellor, Jill Wakefield. Won't you agree? Well, it's really a great pleasure to be part of this segment of the program. We should extend our thanks to the board members of 1991. I asked Tom if he was a member of the board in 1991. He says, no, I don't think so, but we consider Tom Malone our dean. So Tom, thank you, because I know you held up that spirit over the years. Well, as the result of the board members who came up with this idea in 1991, we have 79 faculty, staff, and administrators that have opportunities for learning experience and new ideas that enrich their lives, their students, and the institution. The names of these outstanding individuals are on your program. I want to ask those past recipients to stand. Please stand. All right, since you're not, oh great, Marilyn and Patty Evans, congratulations once again. Thanks for your continuance. Well, the awardees are nominated by their colleagues, and we thank them for presenting the 2011 candidates to us for consideration. The trustees have read every single one of the nominations, and we were so impressed. And so we'll begin with Trustee Albert Chin as he presents the first award recipient.
Thank you, Constance. I am pleased to present the Trustee Lifelong Learning Award to Reza Kostu, Director of the Bright Future Program at Seattle Vocational Institute. The nominators for Reza call him the single-minded force behind the Bright Future Program, which helps students to complete their high school diplomas and earn a certificate of mastery in a professional technical program at SVI or Seattle Central. Starting in 1998 at Marshall Alternative High School, Reza has expanded the program so students now come from 20 different schools. The graduation rate of the program is 89%. More than 100 students most who would not have graduated from high school, have completed the program as supergrads with diplomas and workforce certificates. Many of them have gone on to earn college degrees, hopefully at UW. The program is based on a network of partnerships throughout the community. One of the most remarkable is the paid internship program for allied health students at the UW Medical Center, which opens the doors to future employment opportunities and increases diversity in the healthcare field. 81% of the Bright Future students are students of color or of other ethnicities. Bright Future Success was honored with a 2008 Golden Apple Award by KCTS Television and is reflected in the success of these students. Please join me in congratulating Reza Kostu. And now, please welcome welcoming Trustee Jorge Carrasco, my fellow trustee.
Good morning. It's great to be here, and I'm particularly happy to be able to participate in this part of the program involving the Trustee Lifelong Learning Award. And I have the honor of presenting this award to Maria Espitarte, who's a faculty member in the Associate Degree Nursing Program at Seattle Central. Are there members of the nursing faculty here by any chance? You raise your hand? Great. So, one of the unique things about this particular award is that you get nominated only if your colleagues think you're deserving of the award, which in my mind, whenever you get nominated by the people you work with, that's probably about as high an honor as you can get. So in this case, the members of the nursing faculty at Seattle Central said they felt Maria should be nominated because she is the central force in the excellence and cohesion of their department. As the program director, Maria was responsible for heading up the accreditation in 2004 of the program. And in that role, she led the faculty to undertake a complete curriculum redesign and implemented an assessment program that allowed them to improve pass rates for their students on national board tests. And get this, today, the graduates of this program achieve one of the highest RN pass rates in the state. 97 to 100% of the class passes on their first try. Now, in addition to all the things that Maria does on behalf of the program, she contributes to her profession and to the college in many ways. She continues to work as a nurse in the field, which is tough when you're also a member of the faculty and directing this program. She's involved in keeping the program on the front lines of nursing education and is a sought-after textbook reviewer. And in addition to that, she serves as a peer observer and mentor in the program. The people that nominated Maria for this honor praise her for leading by example and always looking out for what is best for the program, even if that means cleaning and organizing the lab herself during the summer to prepare for the fall quarter. So please join me in recognizing and congratulating Maria Aspertarte for this well-deserved honor. So now join me in welcoming Trustee Tom Malone, who will be presenting the next award.
Well, good morning, everyone. Before I introduce the next award winner, I want to depart from the script a little bit to talk about. I want to talk about the other two programs, to let you know what a privilege it is for me to be up here. Because when I look at these other lifelong learning award winners, first of all, Riza, Bright Futures is one of the premier programs in education in this whole state. I think all of you are familiar, but maybe some of you are not familiar with what Bright Futures really does. It takes people with no chance, takes those people and leads them to accomplishment. Riza has single-handedly fought for that program for year after year after year. It's an extraordinary achievement. It isn't just a lifetime running award. It is an extraordinary achievement, and we're so very proud of you. The second program here, Nursing at Central, once again is a little tug at the heart. I've been around, it's true, I wasn't here in 1991 to start this program, but I was here in 1997. And I was a member of the Board of Trustees of the North Foundation in the 90s when that program was initially started. It was not an overnight success. I remember one time in particular when the then Vice President at Central, Ron Hamburg, had to have the class nursing retake the whole first year because there were enough difficulties with the programs and what was trying to be achieved that rather than allow the students to go forward untrained, they simply restarted and got that program going again. But there's perseverance at Seattle Central and all the administrators of nursing. And guess what happens? Last year we found 90, I think it was 100% pass before Maria, and then 97%. It's become one of the premier programs in this state, all because of that dedication, an extraordinary achievement because of people like you. And finally, another program is near and dear to my heart, and that is the program at North on e-learning. And I'll read the script here in a moment, but I've got to depart for a moment to tell you another story. One, again, of great pride. When I go down, I'm president of the Trustees Association for the estate, and we are trying to increase all e-learning of all sorts, and we're doing a lot of experimentation. But one of the premier programs in the whole state is what Carol and Tom Berjunas, whenever they say it, it's Tom Berjunas at North, they always say, and Carol. Everywhere I go. But the improvement in these courses, and Tom's there too, he should probably stand to get a little recognition. He doesn't like it. But Tom is, again, a state leader in these programs. And I can tell you, when we're going around in this state, when they're looking at programs to show how these are successful, North Seattle is always the first one chosen. But it goes beyond that. Our esteemed Jill Wakefield, who once again gave just an extraordinary speech, I thought. Once again to Jill for her leadership. But Jill was at a national conference, and one of the other presenters was a president from one of the other schools, and he said, I think that our webpage and our presence here is the second best program, and it has the second best e-learning program in the United States. But he said the first and best is North Seattle Community College. I don't know if Carol has even heard that before, but I guess I've said enough. I don't know if there's all of the things that Carol has done with the Angel software and all the rest of it, but this one page certainly isn't going to be a summary of all the great things that Carol and Tom and North have done in this. But I guarantee you, if there's ever a person who's been a lifelong learner and is continuously changing things and is really part of the spirit with which this award is immediately established, it's Carol Howe. Thank you.
I really have to change the height of the microphone after Tom speaks. Thank you. Congratulations to all the 2011 recipients. Your work is inspiring and meaningful. I kind of forgot to hand over the awards. I was so entranced by hearing about you. Thank you also to our board. You are not just ceremonial leaders. You genuinely care. You truly lead, and it's a pleasure to have you at our helm. Convocation involves many traditions, and one is a greeting from our employee unions. Please welcome Karen Strickland, Seattle President of the American Federation of Teachers, and Rodolfo Franco, President of the local Washington Federation of State Employees.
Good morning. I'll raise the mic a little bit. Let's see, there's so many thoughts going through my head after listening to the different speeches, and in particular Jill's. I think her rafting metaphor is perfect. So I'm Karen Strickland. I'm your faculty union president. I'm also a proud graduate of a community college, Fort Steilacoom Community College, before it became Pierce. And I just wondered how many of you are community college grads? All right, so we compete right up there with the Huskies and the Cougars. So, I'm sorry. So welcome to another academic year. There's all kinds of challenges and victories and opportunities ahead of us, but we can't escape the fact that we've gotten some pretty dismal news of late, both the revenue forecast in particular, as well as the State Board of Community and Technical College's recent declaration of a state of financial emergency. So these kind of put a damper on the start of a new year. But at the same time, we recognize that we have a problem. People, both within the colleges and outside, realize that we contribute enormously to the community, both in terms of economics and in terms of quality of life. We know how important a strong and stable public education system is to ensuring a thriving democracy. And yet, it seems like our society is pulling away from a commitment to this public good. It's encouraging to hear all the different initiatives that are happening with grant money and the enthusiasm and creativity of our faculty and the staff and administration of our colleges. But most of us, I think, really believe that a strong democracy requires a strong commitment to publicly funded college education. It's a little demoralizing to hear all of this. It's like we've been the frogs in gradually warming up water over time, where you just get used to it and used to it and used to it. But now I think with this economy, suddenly the water's gotten really hot and it really hurts, and we got to leap out of it. So AFT Seattle has decided enough already. And some of you may have seen our flyers that we're launching a campaign. We've decided enough already. We can't keep going along just getting used to the rising temperature of the water. We have to do something different. And you might recall our press conference in June, where we had a huge turnout and a lot of articles and news coverage in the Times, the PI, the Weekly, and the Stranger, King TV, the New City Collegian. We had a lot of coverage. And what that told me was that we have a story to tell and there's a public that's ready to hear it. So we're asking faculty initially, and then we'll be expanding to get everybody involved, to really commit to a campaign that we're starting this year to recommit to the Community College Act of 1967. And in particular, you might recognize this quote, but you may never have heard of it before. The Community College Act says, "Our purpose is to meet the needs of both students and the community by offering a post-high school education to every resident, regardless of background or experience, at a cost within his or her means." That pretty much sums up what we're after with our campaign. So for faculty, make sure that you get one of these. Details about the next step that we're engaged in, which is a listening campaign, are on the back. We also have a new website called teacherswithspine.org, and you can give input on that. That also should tell you a little bit about our attitude about this. So please participate and attend one of these the conversations. To the rest of you, though, don't feel excluded. We're starting with faculty, but we know that we have to have solidarity within the colleges and also coalitions across the community. So those steps will be happening. I'm looking forward to a big year, and in large part because of this campaign, because otherwise it does get kind of demoralizing. But I think as Dr. Wakefield pointed out, we have a responsibility to our community to provide the education that they need, to move into the middle class, and we're capable of making that happen. The thing is, we're the experts. We know what our colleges need. Basically, we are the ones we've been waiting for, so let's work together and turn around the situation with community colleges. Thanks so much, and have a great year.
Welcome. It's always trying hard to get over the jitters, but here we go. As we start a new academic year, we're faced again with ever-challenging budget deficits at the state level. In the past, we have faced these budget deficits by being innovative and, most importantly, working together. Now, in order for us to move forward, we will be depending on our district and college leaders. Leaders who have a clear vision that is anchored in reality and purpose, leaders that are able to inspire despite our circumstances, leaders who recognize opportunity and grasp it, leaders who understand the effects of their decisions. Most importantly, leaders, as Laura pointed out, who realize that we're all in this together to assure our students' success. I believe that we have all the ingredients to overcome any of the challenges to make sure that our students are successful. Thank you.
Thank you. It's wonderful to hear us all dedicating ourselves to work together for our students' benefit. It's been an honor welcoming everyone to North and to the start of the school year. As we close, I want to remind you that SCCTV has been recording this morning's program. You'll be able to see and hear our featured speakers and to watch the video with all of you in it, again on the station's website. Tours are available at the OCENE, Opportunity Center for Education and Employment, if you go to the center. Our thanks to everyone for joining us this morning, and special thanks to President Young, our wonderful honorees, our board, and to the many, many people who have provided organizational, technical, and logistical support. Best wishes for a great college year. Thank you.